by tradition.
Hold
And that
tight.
is hold tight the 3-point collectors.
Next thing, Tottenham are whipping boys for Liverpool. You lot ain't beat us in how long? So look at your face. So when I
I'm about to run.
They forget about when the council is going to take the free.
Oh, for real? When there was a little car park out front. Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's hold
Liverpool. And as much as we can talk about Mane is a good player, Salah's a good player, they're just not the X factor, bro. Don't forget about it.
Yes, guys. Vibe with Five crew, we are back. Myself, Joe Bayer, Stephen Housen, and Rio Ferdinand. And today we're joined with a couple of our boys. Stoppage Time TV, 360TV. How you doing, boys?
All good, man. All good.
Good stuff, man.
Thanks
Good
for having
stuff.
us on.
Listen,
I need energy, boy. I need energy. This ain't the energy that I know.
Into it. Let me get into
These
it.
guys are out here drawing things on the boards, pretending to be Rio and Joe Poland. You're like,
Following stuff on that rhythm as well. It's too fun.
you know? Exactly. Maze, we're going to need you a little bit louder, by the way, just letting you know.
I'm all good, yeah?
Yeah, all good. So the question today, real simple. Gareth Bale, is he the best British player ever in the modern day era? We got to get to this, man, because we had this
Joe, you're going to have to
discussion
give some parameters here, though. In the modern day era, when's
in the
that?
modern day. Well, let's just say from the 90s, man.
No,
'Cause
then.
Well, why would you say no? Who is it then?
Well, one, he's not as good as this guy sitting here, and two, he's not as good as Wayne Rooney. So, next question. What else you got?
Oh,
If you want to bracket it down to the players, maybe 4 or 5 years either side of Gareth Bale, now you've got a question. But he's certainly not the best English player since the 90s. Not even better than David Beckham. So,
Ooh, I mean, but we're talking about the greatest, though. We're talking about the greatest.
The greatest British player ever, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah, in the modern time, the greatest.
he's not even the greatest Welsh player.
Hold on. Nah, he's better than Giggs. I'm sorry, he's better than Giggs.
You're talking greatness or pure ability?
Nah, I'm talking greatness. I'm talking.
He loses on both counts. So,
Nah, how does he lose on both counts? How? If you think about the greatest moments, you think about Champions League finals, you think about what he did with Real Madrid, what he did with Spurs. It's definitely an argument. Now, I don't think he's the greatest because I think Wayne Rooney's the greatest. But other than that, he's in the top three. He's in the top three for me. 100%.
What goes into it for you, though? Was it talent, individual moments, and importance to like wherever you are at that time? Is that what goes into it for you? Because that Champions League run, it speaks for itself. We know that. I know the thing that we discussed was his importance to Wales and how he's carried them. But again, do you then have to discount that because no British team's really done anything? It's like, yeah, you've got them far, but you haven't achieved anything. So what is actually going into it? Because I can hear the argument for putting him up there. But at the same time, there's different things. Like, are you going to throw Michael Owen up because he's got a Ballon d'Or? Are you going to give Gerrard ratings because, you know, he was winning with Liverpool Champions League at a time?
My question, though, with everyone, and this is no disrespect to all the great English players, but they all built their legacies together. So, like, Rio, your legacy is tied in with Rooney's legacy.
Wait. Go on. Start again. Sounds like that was going to be a shot. Hold on. I got to make sure I hear this properly.
It's not a shot. But Rio's legacy is tied in with Scholes' legacy, with Beckham. Well, not necessarily Beckham's, but with Rooney's legacy, with Giggs's, because they all played together and won together. Whereas Gareth Bale, he was at Spurs winning Player of the Year 2 times, by the way.
So do you not take any of his Champions League away because Ronaldo was there then? This is nonsense.
How Rio had Ronaldo.
Yeah, but like so it's a level playing field then, isn't it?
No, not really, because how many of those guys, and again, no disrespect, stole the limelight from Cristiano? You got 2 Champions League finals, which are the Gareth Bale finals, not Cristiano Ronaldo finals. How many players they've done
Roy
that?
Keane didn't feature in the 1999 Champions League final. Are you going to take anything away from him from not playing in that one game when he was instrumental in all of the 3 other trophy wins that season?
Well,
it's one game.
if you ask Roy Keane, he'll tell you he's got no Champions Leagues. So
Yeah,
that's
but he's an absolute lunatic, so you can't listen to Roy Keane.
I mean, that's his words, not mine. You know what I mean? That's his words.
You mentioned Rooney being number one for you, right? And I don't know where they rank for you, but I think for me, Rooney, in terms of the longevity, everything he's done, the Premier League record, him as a footballer, for me, would have to be number one. Where I find it interesting is when you go to the conversation about Bale, how similar is it to the conversation about Gerrard? Because league titles, he didn't win anything in Madrid, right? So there's similarities, and of course, the only difference is that Champions League run where he was with an amazing team. And yeah, he had individual moments.
He's got 2 leagues as well, though. He's got 2 leagues.
Can I say something? Yeah?
You go, Rio. Sorry for that.
It's like, sorry to butt in. It's like Gareth Bale has had the biggest moments out of all the British players that we're talking about now in the Champions League final. He's got 4 Champions League finals, smashes everyone. He's only got 2 league titles, by the way.
Yeah.
You compare that to someone like Giggs, who's got 12, I think. 12, you know.
13.
But
Who's counting?
Yeah.
Rio, does that not play a part in the team you play for, though? So Gareth Bale, you look at his kind of trajectory.
Okay, he was at Spurs. He ain't going to win a league title ever there, yeah? So that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
he was able to put himself in the world's best player conversation being at Spurs. When was the last time we saw that?
Well,
like in regards to Ronaldo, that's at United, surrounded by Fergie's star-studded team. For me, I hear what you're saying in regards to peaks. I think where he clears Giggs as well is the fact that I'm sorry, but Wales have no business being in a Euro semi-final. The fact that he's able to take them there, even this Euros, them qualifying from the group stage in the way they did, I feel like for Wales, he's always been able to push them over that edge and that limit. That's why I'd put him over Giggs in that.
At international level, I think he outweighs everyone in terms of his impact for the international team as well. I'm not saying he is or isn't at the moment. I'm still trying to work it out, and we're doing that here now, yeah. But in terms of a full league calendar, yeah, when he left Tottenham, I don't think he's been the most consistent through a league calendar, and would say, and at any point at them time he was at Real Madrid, where his most successful times and his most dominant times in terms of winning things, I didn't ever see him get talked about as player of the year at his club, let alone European player of the year or world player of the year. Yeah. So, and in terms of influence over a season, I think there's a number of British players we can talk about that probably have done more consistently. But then,
do you even put him above Frank Lampard?
No. What I was about to say was, on Rio's point, that's where the Chelsea boys are going to come in, because you've got that longevity. On the point you mentioned about being the best player at the time, again, I'll bring it again. I don't think he should be in the conversation, but Michael Owen has got that accolade of being the best. So it really depends on what you're weighing up, because so high.
All right, but Michael Owen didn't do it long enough. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Of course, but I'm saying what you weighted on it.
And that's why, for me personally, you can't look higher than Wayne Rooney and Ryan Giggs. It's ludicrous to look any higher, because yes, you got Bale with the 4 Champions League titles. A couple of years, you can argue that, you know what I mean, you can't remember what else he was doing. Whereas when you look at Giggs, when you look at Rooney, when you look at Rio, you know, these are people that have been not only in
this conversation. I've got to be honest. I have to be honest with you. I ain't in this conversation yet.
But you say that, but do you know what? You're in the conversation, Rio, because the other day when we were having the chat, we came to the conclusion that if Gareth Bale is not the first, he's in top 5. And then we started going down to top 5. And then we were like, well, surely you need Rio.
You're in the combo, bro.
John in the Terry in the top 5.
Listen, I think Rooney for me is the one. I think he's the one. He's a record goal scorer for his country, record goal scorer for his club. Like, he won a ridiculous amount of trophies. The consistency over.
He completed it. He's won everything. He's won every cup.
And was one of the main players. He was the top 1 or 2, 3 players every single year that he was there. Like, it's ridiculous the consistency we're talking here. So that's the only reason I'll put him at the top. And I think Gareth Bale, I think he's a moments player. He's the one he's done moments more consistent in terms of the big Champions League finals, etc. So even some of the Super Cups, etc., where he's been just like phenomenal, like crazy, where you say, wow, We've never had a player win 4, a British player win 4 Champions League. That's got a lot to be said for, and be impactful in them games.
100%. I think consistency is always kind of like the greatest determining factor of greatness for me. But when you talk about peaks for me, I feel like, as you said, Bale there has the absolute peaks. And like when you judge these kind of greats, as you call them, I would personally look at accolades, the peak you've had, the impact you had on your team, the consistency and the challenges you faced. And I feel like Gareth Bale maybe doesn't tick all of those boxes, but in regards to peak, I think that's where he puts himself in the conversation. The likes of the Ashley Coles, even, I think people are forgetting out of this conversation. The consistency and the fact that in his position he was able to be one of the.
In this conversation, I'm sorry.
But why not? But why not? How many other
most of the time? Sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know the conversation where you talk about integral. Wingers can play left back. Centre forwards and midfielders can't play centre back. Centre backs and that can't play centre forwards. It's different.
I don't know. I think
you rattled about that.
I think you got every position kind of looks at it. You got to look at it subjectively. I think when there was a point at Carr, I felt like he was the best left back in the world.
I'm joking.
You can't have that kind of conversation. I think since Dani Alves maybe came over, you was like, there's that one fullback. So for me, it's consistency definitely plays a part, and that's where Gareth Bale maybe drops out kind of to 4th.
Bale's never played. I think maybe once played 30 league games. That's an issue. And that was an issue in Michael Owen. Michael Owen, you keep going on about his Ballon d'Or. Michael Owen scored 16 goals to win that Ballon d'Or in the league. Like, that doesn't stack up today. Like, see, people forget about this. He got it on the back of Liverpool winning that Mickey Mouse treble,
the fake treble, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why with this conversation, it's so funny because people will weight it heavily on these individual accolades and everything. And like sometimes, again, don't get me wrong, championing 4 Champions Leagues is major. And like he had place for us to play in that. But people look at other things as well. Like with Wayne Rooney, there's been times where people have this conversation about, he wasn't the main man. But if you look at how integral he was in all of them squads, he was always present. And that's the stuff that gets missed a lot of the time.
Without Wayne Rooney, we're not doing what we've done. I'm telling you. I don't care.
Listen, we had that conversation a while ago, and for it.
Guys, I'm looking at time.
Without Rooney, we are not doing what we've done. I don't care over that long period of time. People have to put some more respect on this guy's name. When in 5 years, people are going to look back. I always say, look back and go, rah. When you look at videos on YouTube of Wayne Rooney, it actually reminds you. You go, you know what, rah, he was bad. Like we go abroad, yeah. Anywhere we go abroad, Wayne Rooney gets treated like a rock star because it's different here. We got used to it. It's like here you get used to certain things. You take it for granted. Wayne Rooney was one of the players for me who was taken for granted. What he was capable of on a football pitch was a madness.
Just quickly,
the question needs to be, lads. The question's got to be, where does Gareth Bale stack up to his peers? Because I don't think he can touch Wayne Rooney. And his peers, who's his peers? Harry Kane? That's a good conversation to have.
What?
Beckham? Can't put him next to Harry Kane. You're disrespecting, bro.
Rio, you played with Beckham. Who would you rank higher, Bale or Beckham?
Hard, man.
This is what I'm saying, though. He's got Scholes, Beckham, Giggs. All of them are all in the same team.
Yeah, but he's still got to produce. It's all right. You could say anybody can play in that team. You can't. No. Teams, they look dusty.
Yeah. No, you got to be top quality. But again, like everyone's the 7 titles or 5 titles we talk about Beckham is going to be the same 5 titles as Scholes. It's going to be the same 5 titles with Giggs. Whereas Bale, he was creating history at Spurs. You know, he was him and Ronaldo, the only players to win Young Player of the Year and Player of the Year in the same season. He's won it twice. How many British players can say they are legends at 2 football clubs, let alone one of them being abroad at the greatest club in like history or something? Not many. Like Bale, you know how I look at Bale? Yeah, I look at Bale like, yes, I understand consistency-wise, he's not got it as long as Giggs or Rooney or Scholes or Rio or John Terry and that. But it's kind of like how I see Didier Drogba. Drogba had a lot of inconsistent seasons, but he has a direct hand in so many iconic, so many legendary moments that when you look back at the end of football, you're going to remember that final, that moment was Drogba.
Okay, I get that with Drogba, but what iconic moments did he have at Spurs? Please tell me.
There was a moment. Look, San Siro hat trick.
Yeah, one game. Can't get the beginning of Milan.
What was riding on that game?
But
We actually lost.
Cam, just in case you didn't know.
You can't wait. You can't compare Premier League Drogba to Premier League Bale for moments. You just do what you're trying to do. You can't. I can name 10 men with bigger moments, more riding on them games. I love Gareth Bale. Don't get me wrong, yeah, but I love Gareth Bale as a player. What he was doing at Spurs was mad. He won 2 Premier League Player of the Years. I get that, yeah. But let's put it into perspective. How many of them games were championship deciding pressure cooker moments?
But he couldn't get there though because he's
Bale. So you have to disregard their moments. Then they were good times, very tough moments. But I'm judging him based on when he was actually in the pressure cooker. Champions League final, my man woke up and delivered. 100%, can't be doubted.
All right, wait, Cam, I gotta come in. I gotta interject. So I want to hear top 5, please. Top 5 British players. I know it's going to change. I know Rio's got a stun in his face. He's got his colleagues he's going to have to explain himself to, but we don't care. We want to know your top 5. Howson, we start with you, please. Top 5
Rooney,
British players.
Rooney's number 1.
Yeah.
Giggs is number 2. Scholes 3. Beckham 4. Rio 5.
Okay. That's
I
think you'll find, Rio, that in the last 30 years we won half of the Premier League, so don't sweat it.
Yeah, listen, before you carry on, yeah, why is Giggs below Rooney for you? That's interesting because we talk about titles, but why is he below Rooney?
Just personal preference. I think Rooney brought a real excitement to the game. Wayne Rooney had a career like Giggs' start of his career. Giggs with the injuries and stuff like that. And you got to remember, Giggs played 20 years. So he changed as a player. And I don't mean this to be a negative thing, but he got a bit boring. As he became a cultured central midfielder. Wayne Rooney was always a lunatic. And you watching football for entertainment reasons. Wayne Rooney brought entertainment from the first time he arrived to the last time he left. He became United's all-time leading goal scorer, which is no mean feat. Yes, Giggs has got the record appearances, but leading all-time goal scorer, I think that trumps it. He also won everything. You know, Ryan Giggs didn't win a Europa League, which isn't really a...
How many out of them 20 years would you say that Giggsy was the most important player?
That's what I was going to ask as well.
Yeah, probably that, and that's probably why he's below Rooney. Early Giggs, early Giggs was
how many
tricky
years?
Winger.
How many years?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably 3 or 4.
Probably 0.
Yep. Oh, it's not
real. If we're being real, come on. If we're being real, like
in my teams, he wasn't the most important player in one of any of the years. He was one of the important players, but he wasn't the important player.
No, I think he left that behind in the 90s.
Fair enough. What's yours, Cam? Top 5?
I got Rooney 1. I got.
Oh, sorry, Cam. Before I move on, because everyone's going to go, you just pick United players. Yeah. You're out of the top 20 Premier League medal winners, 19 of them are United players.
Jeez.
Team accolades.
So
shout out Fergie, innit?
You said you don't even support Man United no more, you liar. He's switching teams. Carry on.
I got Rooney 1. I got Lampard 2. I've got Bale 3. I got John Terry 4. And then, so, you know what? The same reason, the Giggs question is the same reason why I just haven't got Giggs there. It's not Steven Gerrard. For me, it's between Rio, Scholes, and Ashley Cole. And I can't decide. Rio, you're my idol growing up, but it's I don't know if I can squeeze you in the
when was Terry the most important player in his team?
John Terry. He was the PFA Player of the Year in the 2005.
That's not what I said. I said, when was he the most important player in his team? Ryan Giggs won that in 2009. It was a charity award.
Wait, you know the Player of the Year business, yeah? It is a bit mad, you know that? Like, Scott Parker got relegated if West Ham was Player of the Year.
Yeah, David Ginola won it when United won a treble. Don't give me a Player of the Year.
And Giggs won it. And Giggs won it in some dodgy season as well.
What?
Giggs won it in 2009. He was never Player of the Year.
There's certain players that won it in years, and you think, "Wow, this is a mockery."
Yeah.
You know what? I think when you look at Chelsea, I think John Terry was such a staple in that team. I think they were with that solidity that they had, that record-breaking season they had, only conceded.
Wasn't because of him though.
It was a major part of it though, and I feel like.
Listen, John Terry went home and had posters of Carvalho on his wall. That was why they had that record. He was like, one day I'll be as good as you, I promise.
I feel like there were like 4 defenders who were constantly like the best in their position, like one of the best in their position for about so many years. I got Ashley Cole, I think Rio, I think John Terry, and when you look abroad, I think somebody
what year was John Terry the best in the world in the centre half?
I think John Terry is the best centre back in the world for up until 2004 up until about 2009 when the Rio and Vidic, I think from there took over as the best there. It passed my first.
Whoa. You need to change.
You guys are together.
Shit, man. It's like Cannavaro didn't play fucking football.
Hey,
it's like Carvalho didn't play football.
I'm not hearing that. I think
Hold on.
John Terry wasn't the best in his partnership.
I agree. He was one of the best in the world for a period, but your dates are way off.
Wait, look, 2004 to 2005, was John Terry when I think that's when Mourinho came through and they were solid. Then 05-06, they defended the title. I think 06-07, I still got him there. But then when we started winning the Champions League, 07-08, when you and Vidic really got that partnership like to a European level, I think that's when you guys took over, personally.
So it worked from 2009 then, like you just said.
What I say 08, 09, okay, 07 to 08 is when I think you guys closed the gap on John Terry personally.
Yeah. You say Lampard was second for you?
Hang on. What gap?
Why is Lampard like? Why did you put Lampard second? That's interesting to hear.
Yeah. I think Lampard's the most consistent English player or British player ever. I think every single season you knew Frank Lampard is going to give you 20 goals a season. He's going to score in finals. He's going to score big goals. He's going to also be there he had a record of most appearances consecutively in a row. I think I don't know who broke it. Maybe broke Brad Friedel's record or something like that. He was always there, and I think Frank Lampard, as I said, consistency wise, I just think he's the best. And we got to remember at Chelsea, they had Drogba, they had John Terry, but Lampard was the one who was delivering the goals. He was delivering the goals. Drogba sometimes didn't even score 15 goals in the season. Lampard was the one that was delivering.
You just tried to knock Giggs down by saying he was playing with this whole rest of the midfield he was playing with, and it's true. But you've just put Ashley Cole and Lampard in 3 places of your 5 alongside John Terry. Is that not the same argument then? That he was doing well because he was in a good team? Because, mate, honestly, Makalele, Carvalho, Ashley Cole is the reason why John Terry
Don't let me start in this, because I'm going to come with some rockets, bro.
But that's what I said about Bale. I said it about Bale. I didn't say it about anyone else. For Bale, he's the one that had the weakest squad. Bale had the weakest squad. He had to do.
Please don't. You can't come with that argument about Spurs. Please.
What?
There's no pressure, bro. He's playing under no pressure. It's like me saying Kevin Phillips is player of the year because he's scored 40 goals. He's playing at Sunderland. No pressure.
So what, Rio, are you saying that with Bale, when we look at this, we can solely look at Madrid and his international performances?
Yeah.
And just discard Spurs?
He done well at Spurs. Cool. That's brilliant. Well done. But, bruv, there was no pressure there, man. You're not playing under any pressure to win nothing. I judge players a lot of the time as well. When the pressure's on, where are you?
Bale in his last 4 seasons, by the way, has only scored about 30 goals at Madrid.
Well, he scored some important ones.
Yeah, man. No,
this is the point, man. Can you stay fresh because you're playing like...
This is the thing. Bale's getting on because he's got mad moments, and game-defining, game-changing, game-winning. In the biggest games. Champions League final. There's not many people that can say that. It's like saying, Steve McManaman should be in it. He won 2 of them and he scored in the Champions League final. He should be in this conversation.
Nah, it's not. Nah, man. Bale's numbers as well, all together.
I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying you can't just say, because Bale scored all these goals in these finals, that's it. I think the impact at Wales is unrivaled by any other British player. What they've achieved, they basically swam the channel doing it because of the team that they've got. They ain't got the pool of players to pick from that we've got. It's different, man.
I've got a question. So if you had to put yourself anywhere, Rio, where would you put yourself?
Nah, we're not getting to that yet. Wait, here's the last bit. We're gonna ask him. We're going around. We're going around. Maze, please give me your top 5.
Rooney would have to be number 1 for me without a shadow of doubt. Like that's there. For me, the consistency thing, like again, like yeah, he was part of teams, but 20 years. Like, yeah, I would have to put Giggs there.
Yeah.
100% for me. Number 2. 3, I would probably have to go Scholes. Again, I'm putting in talent in it as well. Scholes for what he did, how people spoke about him, what he was as a footballer, with everything he won, he has to be out there. And this is sound like United prop now, and I don't support United. He would have to be 3. 4, it's a tricky one, but I'll be tempted to go Bale just on the whole balance of those peaks. Like, it's very rare that you see a player having those sort of high moments. Not people would trade a career to get one, and he's had so many. So I would go him 4th, and then purely just because of prop, I'll put JT in. But Rio, he was close, but I have to put some of my defenders.
How's man coming on the channel and putting JT on top of Rio? Hey, like, we ain't inviting these guys back on.
Not even out of politeness, Chris. Just fucking wrong, man.
Yeah, he's a Chelsea. You know what I mean? He's a Chelsea man.
He's told me 30 mil in 2002, but I'm still playing catch up. I can't believe
it. When we had this conversation, one of the things that we haven't mentioned so far that for me that goes into it, is I called it influence on your generation, and like this is us being real. We had a conversation about who, out of all the players we're talking about, who has had to make people like change their way they play, or people like, you know what, I want to do that.
Maze, you're rude. Maze, you're rude. Now, Maze, I'm gonna have to shut you down. No, Rio, take this one out. Sit down. No. What he's trying to say, because we know what he's trying to say. He's basically trying to. You got to remember, and I'm not. It's not just because Rio's here. Even if he was out of here, my man changed the style of football. When they're talking about Rolls Royce,
listen to what he's saying, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. Like we had the conversation before. That's what I was saying. Like that is again a major point to play in this. And to be fair, if I'm not trying to do Chelsea prop with the accolades and everything as well, you would be 5th. So, boy, you can take from that what you want.
Ball playing centre half.
Boy, the original Rolls Royce. Not all of these Rolls Royce that they're coming now. You know that they come to the Premier League at what age and become Rolls Royce. This is like we're talking originals here. But
John Terry's a poor man's West Brown. What is going on?
They were a Rolls Royce before the Rolls Royce. Just let you know that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
That top 5 is dodgy for me, but yeah, go on.
You agree with everything until number 4, though. I saw you nodded.
Fuad, what are you saying?
For me, I think Rooney, one of the best ability-wise, and it's rare you see a wonder kid who actually fulfills his potential for a long, consistent period of time. Definitely number 1. Lampard, most consistent, highest goal scorer in midfield, a 1 of 1. You probably won't get another midfielder like him for another couple of years, I don't think. Number 3 for me, Ashley Cole. I think there's got to be some defenders' appreciation for me personally. One of the few you can say was actually the best in the world in his position at a time. Most consistent player, I would say, probably for about 10 years, maybe you could say, in the Premier League. One of the most consistent. 4th, I would have Paul Scholes. I think technically what he was able to do in the United team, England team, never maybe fulfilled his potential, but I would have said that's probably out of his control, being played out of position, having other players ahead of him who I thought maybe he should have been ahead of. But the impact he had within the United teams and the technical ability, I think English midfielders have always tried to recapture that. So it's almost like he set the bar for what a great English midfielder should be for me. And then 5th, I'd put Beckham. I think the challenges Beckham faced, the pressures he faced as well, the leaving from United to go Madrid, even though he might not have had success, he still won a league title there. But for me, it's the ability and pressure he was able to deal with in his career. I don't think many players have been able to deal with that. The way he was able to take his country to the 2002 World Cup, like this guy had a celebrity life going on. Yeah, with the Spice Girl and everything. You didn't have
league title.
Yeah. So everywhere he went, like when you talk about someone who has an impact everywhere they've gone, Beckham was definitely someone. So for me, Rooney, Lampard, Cole, Scholes, Beckham.
Do you know what? Can I say something? No one's mentioned Steven Gerrard in their top 5.
Yeah, because we like Steven Gerrard, but the fact that he wasn't able to win a league title, really damages the whole.
If we was talking favourites, he'd probably be first for many of us. But the thing is, it's when it comes to like Didn't win the league at Liverpool. For England, maybe wasn't as successful because of the England team or whatever. So for me, there's always thing. When you talk, it's similar like Bale. When you look at moments and the Istanbul, right up there. When you look at even the West Ham FA Cup final, like the way he was able until the slip that season, incredible. So maybe as a whole you can't, but for peaks, I think Gerrard is definitely up there.
You have to give him a bit of credit because Liverpool are a big club, but even in those moments when Gerrard was doing all of that stuff, like it was like, right, like they shouldn't necessarily have been where they should have been. Like,
no, I don't believe that.
What? Alonso, Torres.
I don't believe that.
I'm talking about how the team were performing. Like, man, that's one of the biggest, greatest sides he played against, and he did that.
Yeah,
like,
that's his moment. That's his crowning moment. But I feel like with Steven Gerrard, he was one of them players. Like, we can say it for how Rio was saying it a little bit about Bale at Spurs. I felt like, you know, Gerrard was good to be that kind of like big fish in a small pond type thing. You know what I mean? And people talk about what if he moved to Chelsea, and we don't know what would have happened. So we got to just take it on face value of what he did at Liverpool. And what he did at Liverpool was great, but I think he was suited to what they had going on there. And I just don't have him up there with Scholes and Lampard personally.
All right, let me do mine real quickly because we're going to wrap up soon. I'm going for Rooney, number one, has to be. No one does better than him. Giggs, secondly, 20 years. You can't rub that off. Don't care what anyone says. He wasn't the best player in all those years, but to be able to play, like Rio said, you still got to be able to play and you've got to be able to perform. And he did over many of those years. So you can't take that away. Third, that's where it gets tricky. I'll probably have to give it to Paul Scholes, you know, because I feel like as much as I'm a big Frank Lampard fan, and I think Cam was right, like consistency-wise, I don't know if there's been anyone more consistent as a British player over the years, but I'll probably say Scholes, then Lampard. Fuad, that Beckham arguments kind of swayed me, you know, a little bit, you know, because that's because we forget
ahead of the curve. Then on field though, but with Fuad Beckham, he was talking more about his off-field issues than he was talking about.
Yeah, but on field, did he not perform? Was he not La Liga player of the season when they won the Liga last year?
Player in the world in 1999. What are you on about?
99, he won second player. You know, he was only behind. What'd you say?
Who was best player in the world in 99? Did you say, Steve?
It was Rivaldo.
No, Rivaldo might have won the award, but Beckham was the best player.
Del Piero was up there.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the official listing was Rivaldo first and Beckham second, didn't it?
Listen, Rivaldo didn't get out of the group. Why didn't he get out of the group? David Beckham didn't let him out of the group. That was why.
Please don't do this with Rivaldo. Rivaldo's one of the best, bro. Please don't ever.
Okay, 1999 he won.
Please don't. Please don't.
Because he was scoring.
Brexits are great, yeah, but then Rivaldo's another level.
Do you want me to educate you on David Beckham in 1999, right? You want to go through the moments, right? People had big moments in 1999. You might remember a couple of them. Everyone remembers Roy Keane header. Tell me you put the cross in. Correct. You might remember Ryan Giggs had his moment where he scored the wonder goal. Who scored a world-class goal in the first half to even take it to that point of the game? David Beckham, thank you very much. Now, the final 1999 where Sheringham and Solskjaer managed to get their name on a bit of a headline. Who put the crosses in for both of those goals? I think we all know the answer to that, don't we? David Beckham. What about the free kick against Barcelona? David Beckham. You remember all the performances against both Barcelona, Inter Milan. Dwight York's got 2 headers because David Beckham put them on a sixpence for him.
You forgot the Tottenham game, last game of the season.
Yeah, puts it in the joint. You've never seen a more accurate shot in your life. Listen, David Beckham in 1999 was untouchable. For me, the greatest players step up and they have the big moments in the big games, and then they back that up with consistency if they're truly great. David Beckham was untouchable. And when you think that he came into that season on the back of all West Ham fans hanging him outside that pub, like the mental strength that it took to come on, bang 2 fingers up. Was it West Ham first game of the season away as well? Yeah, nice one, right? This is what David Beckham delivered in the whole of 9. Listen, David Beckham, 98-99, unplayable. Forget Roy Keane, forget Dwight York and Andy Cole. They were the icing on the top of the cake that Beckham built.
So what was Giggs in the month?
I love this.
Ryan Giggs didn't really play 98-99. He was injured for most of it. Jesper Blomqvist filled in.
Yeah, I like that. All right, cool. Wait. I still need to pick the 5th player. You know what? Yeah, just because of that.
Bex.
It's gotta be. Now you know what, Bex. I'll put Bex up there for now. for now.
Joe,
but it's
David
close.
Beckham took football to America and made it popular.
Yeah,
Even
no,
Pele couldn't do
that's
that.
impact. We're not talking about impact here. We're talking about the greatest player ever. It's not just impact. You get where I'm coming from? Because if we're talking impact,
are you done yours, Joe?
It's the fifth one that I'm going for still. You know what? Let's put it for Beckham for now. Still, I can't lie. That was a good argument for now.
Right, mine. My greatest British players of all time. Rooney, #1. Street baller, brought it to the stadiums. Produced mad moments throughout his career and was always considered one of the best, if not the best, in the team. Probably for 75% of his career, maybe more, maybe 80%, 90%. Just always one of the top integral members of his team. Whether it be England or Man United. Top goal scorer, Premier League for Man United. Top goal scorer for England. I don't think it can be questioned. Number 2, I'm going to go for Frank Lampard. I just think consistency over the years. If you wanted 20 goals a season from any midfielder in the world around them times, Lampard was giving it you. I think it was 5 years on the bounce, or was it 7? I don't know, 5 years on the bounce, I think it was. 20 goals a season from midfield, unheard of. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves, I've got to be honest either. Number 2, I would go for...
Number 3.
Number 3, I would go for, because of longevity, I would say Giggs. Just shades it over Scholesy, maybe. Scholesy, for me, was the better player. But I think all compounding everything, consistency over years, keeping that high level, evolving into a different position again as well. Game intelligence is crazy. Giggsy was like a mad player. From a flying winger to a deep line midfielder who conducted things, you can't underestimate what that is. The only other person I've seen do that was John Barnes. And then number 4, Scholesy, my favourite player probably that I played with alongside Ronaldo. Just the most naturally gifted player I played with. Like, my man came out of retirement after 6 or 8 months and was still the best player in training every day. Like, no one else is doing that.
Did he not have blurred vision before that as well?
I don't know, whatever vision he had, but I wanted it. Straight away. Mad vision. I remember opposition players looking at me when he used to pass the ball or do something, going, fucking hell, man, my man's different, isn't it? Whoa. Or he would zing one out 30, 40 yards. The fullback would rupture his Achilles because he was on his tiptoes trying to get the ball, and the player would be in 1v1. Like, mad player, like, different. And the player's best player, always. Like, you talk to Vieira, you talk to Thierry, you talk to Zidane, talk to Xavi. These men say he was the guy. So he might be 3rd and Giggs is 4th, actually.
Yeah.
When I talk about it like that. He's 3rd, he's 4th. And 5th. I'm going to go Beckham 5th, man.
That's the argument, you know.
Because Beckham, man, I've got to say, bro, people forget how good my man was. He weren't a dribbler. Beckham would not be a guy in today's football because he's not Instagram friendly in that sense. He don't take a man on. He don't drop a skill. He's not a man who will beat someone with a drop of the shoulder skill thing on a regular basis and do pretty things. He would do the fundamentals better than everyone. Play the ball, follow it. Play the ball, run for the next ball. Work rate up and down that right-hand side. Gary Neville was lucky he was in front of him because of the work rate, the way my man used to protect him, the off-the-ball stuff he would do. And delivery of the football, whether it is a dead ball or running on a moving ball, hitting a moving target, I've never seen anything like it. Never. You can't put anyone in the world to do what he does. Think of Kevin De Bruyne and then some, when he's running with the ball to find a moving target. Ridiculous. Ask Coley, ask Yorkie, ask Giggsy, ask anybody.
Ask Ronaldo.
Put a ball on their head. This is the guy. Ask Ruud van Nistelrooy, all of them. This guy would hit on a moving ball on the right-hand side, whipping it into the penalty area. Never seen anything like it. We never will. So he's in my top 5. For what it's worth,
we all rate Rio very, very highly. When I was growing up, and I was playing at the back, I wore number 5 for a reason. I bought the same boots. We all wanted to be like Rio. And for what you're doing in terms of like when you were at West Ham, you were a wonder kid as well. People forget that as well. You were a wonder kid as well coming through. And obviously, yeah, as May said, you inspired a generation as well. So for what it's worth, we all
It's
rate
just hard
you.
for defenders. That's what it is. It's just hard for defenders, man.
I don't think defenders should be on the list. I got to be honest. I agree. Listen, because you're on Vibe with Five and I'm here, you ain't got to say my name, boy. I'm cool.
Listen, Rio, stop that, because you're one of the few defenders who are elite out there, yeah. And too often people rub out defenders, and I hate that, bro. People disregard the defensive side of the game, and the strikers and attackers always get the credit. You need to be one of the forefront man that tells man, put respect on the defenders, please. We can't be disregarding them.
Defenders deserve the respect, but when it comes to the accolades, people pay to come and see the midfielders and strikers. That's what put one.
Yeah, look at the difference Van Dijk made to that Liverpool team. Let's not underestimate what a difference.
But the thing is, the Beckhams, the Ronaldos, all them don't do that without a Vidic and you and an Evra behind them. It just becomes, oh yeah, they're all attacking. It becomes like Liverpool when their first season Klopp was there, where it was all gung-ho, but they're not. But once they become solid, that's for me. I feel like it's a slept-on thing, man. So
there's the disrespect as the game goes on. Sorry, Maze. There's a disrespect as the game goes on for Rio, because you start to hear Van Dijk in conversations with Rio, and I'm sorry, he's not in the same planet at the moment. He's got to do it for another 8 years to be in the conversation with Rio Ferdinand.
He's already 30, and it's not happening. Listen, Van Dijk's like you ordered Rio off Wish. Let's have it right.
Nah. Now you're just being rude.
Let's not go too far.
Let me say his
that shows how poor.
We got to wrap up.
There's so few world-class defenders around at the moment that people think Van Dijk's in a conversation with Rio. Do me a fucking favor, mate.
All right, Maze, say what you're going to say, please, because I need to wrap it up.
Individual moments, yeah, and of course, like Rio says, you come to watch football, you come to your goals and everything, but the amount of understated last-ditch tackles or interceptions, all those things that, like you said, are not Instagram friendly, but people that are watching the game remember because they went to the stadium. All of that stuff is individual moments, you know. Maybe it's not as held as highly, but think about the amount of times you've probably done that in your career and then you went on the counter and scored. That stuff is equally as important, because if you don't do it, it's a different story. So
I get that. I agree with you. But me and Last Ditch aren't in the same conversation. I've got to be honest. Other guys you mentioned before might be, but not me. I'm not in Last Ditch. That was part of
Listen,
Rio love the goals too much.
On that note, I've got to wrap it up. Stoppage TV, thank you for coming.
Big Stoppage TV, man. You got to get guys out there. I love you guys.
Yes, 360TV. Love, man. See you guys soon in the new season, yeah?
Remember.
Bless, man.